In 2019, a mechanic from Billings, Montana, shared a photo online that quietly stunned the Rust Belt community. The image showed the underside of a 1997 Chevy pickup truck, more than 2 decades old, driven through brutal winters packed with road salt. Yet the frame looked almost factory fresh. No professional undercoating, no expensive rust treatment, just a thin, dark blue-black layer made from something most people have never even heard about. His secret cost only $3. $3 for a powder available at ordinary grocery stores. $3 to mix with warm water in a plastic bucket. $3 to brush onto rusty steel and watch the corrosion transform before your eyes into a permanent waterproof, paintable barrier. No grinding down to shiny metal, no expensive equipment, no professional workshop needed. Now, here is the part that should make you stop and think. This is not some modern breakthrough. The United States military used this exact chemistry during World War II to protect tanks, rifles, and landing craft. The British Royal Navy documented the same process in the 1850s. Roman legionnaires were using similar treatments on their weapons nearly 2,000 years ago. And if you walk into a hardware store today, grab a bottle of rust converter priced anywhere between $15 and $30. Then flip it over and read the safety sheet. You will likely discover the same compound listed as the main active ingredient. They did not abandon it because it stopped working. They simply repackaged it, renamed it, and sold it back at a massive markup, while making sure most people would never recognize the original source. Today, we are opening a forgotten chapter that connects Roman blacksmiths, wartime military engineers, and the rusting metal sitting in garages and driveways right now. By the end, you will understand exactly how this ancient chemistry works and how it can still be used today for almost no cost at all. Part 1. The accidental discovery in ancient Rome. More than 1,400 years before the first industrial factory existed, leather workers in ancient Rome accidentally discovered something remarkable. They soaked raw animal hides inside large vats filled with water and crushed oak bark. This process, called tanning, transformed stiff animal skin into durable leather. The word itself came from the Latin term connected to oak bark extraction. Across the Roman Empire, leather workshops used enormous stone vats filled with thick brown liquid that smelled so strong people could detect it from far away. But something strange kept happening inside those vats. Iron tools that touched the solution stopped rusting. Knives that normally corroded quickly in damp Roman air stayed sharp and clean for months after soaking in the liquid. Iron buckles dropped accidentally into the vats, came out coated with a dark protective film that resisted both moisture and salt air. Useful discoveries spread rapidly in the ancient world because survival depended on them. Tanners shared the information with blacksmiths. Blacksmiths shared it with armorers. Armorers passed it to military officials who immediately recognized its value. By the 2nd century, Roman soldiers were deliberately treating weapons with concentrated oak bark solutions before marching into the wet forests of Gaul and Germania. Military blacksmiths stationed at frontier forts soaked chainmail in tannin baths after heavy rain or river crossings. And this is not mythology. Wooden military tablets recovered from Vindolanda near Hadrian's Wall reference preservation baths made from bark extracts for iron equipment maintenance. Think about that for a moment. A 2,000-year-old military record describing nearly the same chemistry capable of protecting modern steel today. The Romans had no microscopes, no chemistry labs, and no scientific formulas. What they possessed was careful observation and the wisdom to trust repeated results. Part 2. A discovery made across the world. What makes this story even more incredible is that Rome was not the only civilization to uncover this secret. Across completely different cultures, separated by oceans and centuries, people facing the same enemy, rust, independently discovered nearly identical solutions. Take feudal Japan, for example. Japanese swordsmiths treated metalworking almost like a sacred ritual. Crafting a katana required months of folding steel, hammering, tempering, and shaping. But the hidden weakness of the katana was its softer iron spine. The cutting edge used hard steel, while the back portion remained flexible iron that was highly vulnerable to humidity. In Japan's damp climate, untreated iron could begin rusting within weeks. The solution came from fermented persimmon extract known as kakishibu. Swordsmiths brushed the tannin-rich liquid onto the softer iron before final tempering. The tannins bonded directly with the iron surface, forming a stable protective layer beneath the clay coating. The formulas became closely guarded secrets, passed from master craftsmen to apprentices for generations. Now move thousands of miles west to the Yoruba iron workers of West Africa. These master metalworkers had been forging iron for centuries while dealing with intense tropical humidity, capable of rusting untreated metal overnight. Their answer came from nature as well. Extracts from shea bark and acacia pods were painted onto machetes, farming tools, and iron blades before monsoon season arrived. The treatment dramatically increased resistance against moisture and corrosion. Persian craftsmen in Isfahan used crushed pomegranate rind, rich in tannic compounds, to preserve sword blades. In South America, Mapuche metalworkers relied on extracts from tannin-heavy trees to protect iron trade tools. 5 continents, countless cultures, thousands of years apart, yet all reached the same conclusion through experience alone. Certain plant compounds could stop iron from corroding. This was not superstition. It was chemistry discovered through observation long before modern science explained it. Part 3. The science behind the transformation. For centuries, craftsmen knew the method worked, even if nobody fully understood why. That finally changed in 1813, when French chemist Michel-Eugène Chevreul isolated tannic acid as a pure compound for the first time. He carefully studied how it reacted with iron oxide, rust, and documented the results in scientific publications. Modern chemistry finally explained what blacksmiths and armorers had known for generations. Here is what actually happens. Tannic acid reacts with iron oxide and converts it into an entirely different compound called iron tannate, also known as ferric tannate. Unlike ordinary rust, iron tannate is dark blue-black, insoluble in water, stable, and strongly bonded to the metal surface. It does not flake apart or continue spreading corrosion underneath. And this distinction changes everything. Traditional paints and primers simply cover rust. They sit on top like a temporary bandage. Once moisture slips beneath the coating through a crack or scratch, corrosion starts again. But tannic acid does something entirely different. It transforms the rust itself into the protective layer. The corrosion becomes the shield. Part 4. The military testing ground. By the mid-1800s, the British Royal Navy began testing tannin solutions on iron shipples docked at Portsmouth Harbour. Naval maintenance records showed treated ships experienced significantly less corrosion compared to vessels coated with expensive lead-based paints. But the true proving ground arrived during World War II. Rust became a serious military threat. Tanks shipped across the Atlantic arrived with corroded parts. Rifles stored in humid Pacific environments jammed because moisture attacked the metal. Corroded equipment could cost lives. In 1941, the U.S. War Department launched large-scale anti-corrosion testing programs at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. Researchers exposed steel panels to accelerated salt spray conditions while testing hundreds of protective compounds. The findings were impressive. A simple 4% tannic acid solution, applied to rusted steel, survived over 1,000 hours of salt exposure testing without failing. Many synthetic alternatives performed far worse. As a result, tannic acid treatments were widely used on ammunition containers, vehicle components, steel structures, rifle barrels, and military transport equipment. The same chemistry discovered in Roman tanning pits thousands of years earlier was now helping preserve modern wartime machinery. Part 5. Why most people never hear about it. So if this method worked for Roman weapons, naval warships and military vehicles, why is it barely discussed today? The answer is economics. After World War II, chemical manufacturers invested enormous amounts of money into petroleum-based coatings, synthetic primers, and branded rust treatment products. A naturally occurring powder that people could mix themselves for only a few dollars threatened an industry built around expensive solutions. Tannic acid could not be patented. It naturally occurs in oak bark, tea leaves, grape seeds, chestnut wood, and many other plants. So instead of disappearing, it was rebranded. Modern rust converter products still commonly use tannic acid as their primary active ingredient. The difference is that the powder gets packaged with solvents, additives, marketing, and technical branding before being sold at dramatically inflated prices. Simple tannic acid suddenly became advanced oxide conversion technology, or industrial rust stabilization compound. Same chemistry, different label, higher profit. Be fair, specialized industrial environments sometimes require more advanced coatings. Extreme heat, chemical exposure, or constant saltwater immersion can demand additional protection. Modern commercial products may also include stabilizers that improve shelf life or application ease. But for ordinary problems like rusty tools, truck frames, outdoor equipment, cast iron cookware, or farm machinery, tannic acid remains the core chemistry doing most of the work. How to use it yourself. Now let us go through the process itself. Step 1. Buy food-grade tannic acid powder. It is inexpensive and widely available through grocery suppliers, health stores, or bulk retailers. Around 100 grams usually costs between $3 and $5. Step 2. Create the solution. Mix 4 grams of tannic acid powder into 100 milliliters of warm water. Stir gently until fully dissolved. The liquid should resemble very dark tea. Step 3. Prepare the rusted surface. Use a wire brush or coarse steel wool to remove loose flaky rust. You do not need to grind down to shiny bare metal. In fact, the remaining rust is necessary because the solution converts it chemically. Step 4. Apply the solution. Brush, spray, or wipe the liquid evenly across the rusted surface. Within minutes, the orange-brown rust will begin turning dark blue-black. That visible color shift is the chemical conversion happening in real time. Basic gloves are recommended since concentrated tannic acid may irritate skin or eyes. Allow the first coat to dry completely, usually between 2 and 4 hours, depending on humidity and temperature. Then apply a second coat for deeper conversion and stronger protection. After curing, the surface can be painted, waxed, oiled, or sealed with undercoating. One additional advantage rarely mentioned is that paint often adheres more effectively to converted iron tannate surfaces than to perfectly polished bare steel. For hand tools, axes, and knives, many people finish the treatment with boiled linseed oil or beeswax. Vehicle undercarriages are often followed with rubberized coating or protective oil films. Cast iron cookware can be treated lightly, cleaned and re-seasoned afterward. A single small bag of tannic acid can treat an entire truck frame, numerous tools, and multiple maintenance projects for only a few dollars.